Hi everyone, my name is Mark Yeager with Sigma Safety out of Vancouver, Canada. We are an armor distributor up here in Western Canada, and over the last few years we've noticed that quite a number of our customers do not have a good way to manage their body armor fleet. Most people use Excel forms and or Excel worksheets, and while it works okay, we felt there's a lot of room for improvement and something that we could do to help you. So we've developed a online secure database, and we call it CAMS, and it stands for Complete Armor Management System, CAMS. So what it's designed to do is make your life easier and your job easier, more to the point, by managing all your armor for you. So first of all, it's really designed to keep your members in non-expired armor, so current armor. Every 5 years, of course, armor expires in terms of the warranty, performance warranties. So most departments do replace their armor at 5 years or so. We regularly see members out there with armor that's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and it's a little shocking sometimes the member to when they open it up and say, "Oh my goodness, it's 8 years old." So this will help prevent that. The other thing is it's designed to be really nice and light and quick and fast. So you don't need to take a big course to figure this out. In fact, we do all the data entry for you. So if you buy armor from us, then as we ship the armor, we will enter the information for all that armor into the CAMS system, and you can access it real time. So if you knew we were entering it, a few minutes later, you could look at it before the armor shipment even gets to you. If you do not buy armor from us and you wish to take advantage of the CAMS system, we can arrange that too. All you need to do is give us the appropriate information, which is type of armor, serial number, manufacture date, and first and last name of the officer, kind of this really basic stuff. And then we can throw it all in the system for you. And that way you can go in and see all the data that I'm about to show you. So let's dive right in here. Again, it's almost deceivingly simple and easy. So we think it provides a pretty powerful service, but you'll be the one to tell us that if you know your job better than we know your job. So if you have suggestions or comments, we're more than open to that and for future improvements too. Keep in mind, this is version 1.0. There are a few very, very minor tweaks that we have to do. I know there's some tweaks with date and stuff in it. It likes to put in midnight and things, but we're working on that in the next few days. We should have that done. But this is version 1.0, so it'll only get better from here. And this is why we value your feedback, is so that we can incorporate that into future upgrades. So first thing you'll notice, I'm hoping you can see this up here, we did get a secure online server. So we do have a security certificate, so it's encrypted between your computer and the server. It's hosted by, I believe at this point it's hosted by Google business servers. So it's not something we host here in-house. So if someone were to break into our facility and steal our computer, it's not here. It's hosted by Google, so who knows where it is, really, probably in 10 countries. So once you log in, you will see this. Now, this top portion, this working with portion, is for me, because we're an administrator, so we can pick different customers, but let's just play with this sample police department for now. I've only got, as you can see, 7 or 8 pieces of armor entered in here, and I think only about half a dozen people, but it'll give you the idea. I apologize if my video is blocking up in the top corner here, because unfortunately with the software I'm using, that's unavoidable. But here we go. So this is the dashboard. So when you log in, you'll see this. Again, the main focus of this is to make sure that you don't have a bunch of expired armor hanging around and on people, and that you can forecast replacements easily and accurately. So keeping people in current armor and helping you forecast for future budget years are two of the major concerns, the main design criteria. So right off the bat, you see these you've got 7 non-expired. If I were to click on that, it would bring up a list. I've got 1 expired, but they're still wearing it, so it's still active. And I've got 1 expired in the next 3 months. So the reason we picked 3 months, which is this table down here, so rock collie, is because it generally can take 2, 3, 4 weeks to get an officer in for measuring if they're away or holidays or blocks off or whatever. And then it takes about 6 weeks to order the armor, at least for Armour Express, which is our supplier. Different armor suppliers can vary widely, but that all totals up to about 2 or 3 months. So we like to give you about 3 months warning. Then there's a list of expired armor here. And in this case, we've only got 1 guy who's expired, and we've got 1 person who's coming up. Let me scroll down here. This items expiring by quarter is exactly what it sounds like. So what we did is we took a 5-year timeline and we broke it down by quarter, and you can see how many pieces of armor you've got expiring over the next 5 years. So because Armour has a 5-year warranty on the performance, we find that people replace it every 5 years, departments do, and that allows us to give you a 5-year snapshot of what your armor expiry looks like. So right away in 2017, we can see we've got 1 person in this particular one example that's expiring, and then we don't have anybody else until Q2 2018. We've got 3 people, and then a couple people there. So further down, I can see in 2018, I've got 5 total, right? So I'll go down there in a little bit and do some more detail on that. So this gives you a quick snapshot of what's expiring. If you don't like it by quarter, we could change it to annual, but that's kind of what the donut graphs below are for. So this gives you a quick idea. Now, keep in mind, when we set you up as a customer, we put in your fiscal year end. So you would just tell us that your fiscal year end is December 31st. If your fiscal year end is something else, we can put that in there. So this graph will actually correspond to your fiscal quarter. So if your fiscal year end is March 31st, then Q1 17 will be April, May, June 2017. If you want to have this displayed by calendar year instead of your fiscal year, in some cases it's, for some departments it's the same thing, but some departments it's not. That's easy. We just pretend your fiscal year is December 31st, and then this will all display in calendar year like it's doing right now. Hope that makes sense. So we just thought that some departments might want to see their expiry by quarter in their fiscal year perspective rather than the calendar year, but we can set it up either way for you very simply. Okay, so people with expiring armor, this gives you a 120-day window into who's expiring. Again, in this case, we don't have a lot of examples in our sample, so we've got 1 in the next 30 days, we've got nobody in 60, and 1 in 90 days, and nobody in 120. That just kind of gives you a heads up as to how much armor you need to order over the next 4 months. So then this is a summary by year about what's expiring. As you can see, we've got 3 trauma plates, a couple pieces of soft body armor, a ballistic shield, and a helmet, and they're all broken down, so you can kind of get a really quick view of what you've got expiring over the next 5 years. So this is the dashboard. Hope that makes sense. So it's primarily driven so you know what's expiring, what's not, and how to manage that and how to budget for it. Okay, so next thing, let's go into where the actual data happens. You can do 2 things. You can manage people, or you can manage pieces of armor. So let's go into people first, just because it's first on the list. So you can see that all our James Bond girls are here. So we've got Vesper Lind. Let's go into Vesper and have a look at her. So first of all, we can sort by last name or first name just by clicking on the columns on top. We can sort by the number of armor items that they have issued to that particular person. So you can see Vesper actually has 3 armor items that are issued to her. I'll show you that in a minute. We can sort on the number of armor items that are expiring in the next 12 months. And we can sort on whether the person is active or not. By active, I mean if they're a serving police officer who's wearing armor, as opposed to someone who's retired. Up here, the filter, you can say has armor expiring anytime in the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever you'd like. And same thing over here, count armor items expiring within 1 year. So, and then we can say only show active items. By items, it means people. So if I switch this off, then if we had people that were retired and we switch them to inactive, it would show that too. Hope that makes sense. So let's go into Vesper here and take a look at her. So Vesper is a female. Her PIN number is, I don't know, 007. I think I've used that one already. And we can put in the size that she is. Now, this isn't her armor necessarily, although it will often correspond. But we can put in that she's 2015 front and 1715 back. If she has female armor, it'll be like structured armor. It'll be more complex. But that's just a free-form field. You can put in whatever you want there. And prefers concealed carriers. So I can save that. And now that relates to, that's her information, not anything relating to her armor. That's just her person. And then I can disable her if I would like, if she retires or leaves the department. You can see that she has 3 pieces of armor, and here's the information on all of them. If I were to click on one of these serial numbers, it would go to that piece of armor, and I will show you that in a few minutes. So just remember that she's got a Polyshock 5x8 with that serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll see that again in a minute. Okay, so let's go back to people. So that's people. So when you ask us to set up a new person, that's all the information we need. Are they male or are they female? If you want to give us their size, you can give us their size, but really the only thing that's needed is first and last name. The rest is just a bonus. So in the search field, it's kind of a quick search. So if you were to type in V, you're going to just get the only V up there, which is Vesper. If you were to type in C, you're going to get those guys. And then as you type in more, it's going to narrow that list down. So it's a very quick search. It searches on all kinds of number of things, not just first and last name. Okay, let's go over to armor. So this is actual pieces of armor. And then pieces of armor are assigned to a person. So you can set up a piece of armor and you can assign it or not. Normally it would be assigned to a person right away. So let's go into this. There's Vesper Lynn's Polyshock plate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so we can tell what kind of armor item it is. We can tell who it's assigned to. We can look at its serial number and the date you manufactured, the date that's expired, which is normally 5 years from that day, but just for the sake of this example, I modified it, and the issue date. So the reason that we did the issue date here is some departments will order a significant quantity of armor in kind of standard sizes, and they will inventory them in their quartermaster office, or in their store's office. Officers will come in to the store's office and they'll get measured up, and then the quartermaster will say, okay, I've got there's your front panel, pulls it off a shelf, there's your back panel, pulls it off a shelf, here's your carrier, pulls it off a shelf, and then the person walks out with new armor. It's a neat way to do it if you have a lot of budget and room for armor sitting on your shelves, and it's usually only done by large departments. So in those cases, if you have a manufacture date of January 1st, it may sit on your shelf until, well, hopefully not August 18th, but it could sit on your shelf for quite a number of months. So the warranty, the performance warranty, the 5 years, goes off the manufacture date for pretty much every manufacturer of armor that I'm aware of. But we put an issue date in there for larger agencies in case you wanted to track the date it was actually issued to the person. Hope that makes sense. We can also track the decommissioning date. So to get rid of the armor at the end of its 5 years or whatever the lifespan is, we can track that. And we can also choose how you decommissioned it. So maybe you sent it back to, returned to Sigma for shredding. I don't want to decommission it, so I'm actually going to cancel this right now. And I'm going to go right back in here to show you something. So the other thing you can do is you can reissue armor to a different person. And you can do this at your end. So I can just select that I want to actually give this plate now. So Vesper has retired or something, and we want maybe her plate's only a year old, not even that. So let's reissue that plate to Tiffany. Before I hit save, you'll notice down here, and I've done this a few times, I've bounced it back and forth for demos. So you'll see that the armor was initially issued to Tiffany on this date, and those specific dates were set. The serial number was set all on that date, and then today I reissued it to Vesper, and I'm actually going to reissue it back to Tiffany. And then you can see the username. So the activity history is all automatically tracked. If you change a serial number, because you can change those, if you change who it's assigned to or the armor type or anything, it's all tracked there. These are not editable fields, so at least not by you guys. So we can see the whole history. So if worst thing happened and a piece of armor that was decommissioned turned up somewhere, it was supposed to have been shredded or thrown away, and it turned up in the bad guy's hands somewhere, you could look, or we could look through via the serial number and look at the entire activity of that armor, and including how it was decommissioned and when. Let's save that. And then we'll go back into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You now see it's assigned to Tiffany Case, not Vesper. And so now in the activity, you'll see it's been assigned to Tiffany Case. So that tracks everything automatically. You don't have to enter it, and it goes by your username. So you can see who did what with the armor and when. So it's audit trail there. So that is more or less the system. You can do filtering here as well. So I can include decommissioned armor, and I can say I want to list everything that expires in the next however many months or years. Let's look at decommissioned armor. So there's some decommissioned armor, this air shock. And you can see that it was decommissioned on that date, and that was the disposal method. And then down here it shows that. So the idea is it tracks armor all the way from cradle to grave, if you want to call it that, from manufacture date through the decommissioning. So you can track not only armor your guys are wearing, your officers are wearing, but also armor that they were wearing that still needs to have some kind of audit trail on it. So we also included the switch up here called include issued. So if you're one of those departments that brings in armor and puts it on a shelf and then issues it out to people as they come in, which we talked about before with the issued by or the issued on date, this will be important to you, or may be important to you, because you can turn this switch off if you want to see all the armor that you have but has not been issued. So that will give you a snapshot essentially of what's in stock in your warehouse. Just a quick little, quick and easy little warehouse management tool for you. And then once you put an issue date in there, then it won't appear in that list unless you include issued armor. If you don't do that kind of inventorying of your armor, then you just leave that on all the time. As far as exporting data, if you want to, you can PDF this, Excel, comma separated value, or print it. And this goes with pretty much any of the displays in the system. So that's pretty much it. The configure is mostly configuration for us system administrators. It allows us to do stuff like put ads in the side, and which are kind of neat. That's clickable, which is a really neat video if you're into Armour. There's Richard Davis, who's the owner of, the inventor of soft body armor, proving to Detroit Police Department that it actually works by shooting himself. and his son has also done that. His son owns Armour Express, so it's kind of neat video, but you can click on that and see the video. And probably underneath my picture here, there's an ad up there. So you may see ads or specials or some things down there on the side. If they're of interest to you, you can click on them. And then under my account, which you'll see there's your contact info. It allows you to reset your password and log out. The contact info is handy because if you need to reset your password, it'll email you a new password, or password reset instructions rather. So that's pretty much it. As far as the data goes, we enter that for you. If you buy Armour from us, as I mentioned, we'll enter that as it ships. If you do not buy Armour from us, but you still want to take advantage of the CAMS system, we can certainly do that. We do charge a fee for this. We had quite the initial expense of writing the software, and there's ongoing expense to host it. So, but we think that it's a very, very, very small fee for the service it provides, especially when you amortize it over 5 years that the Armour is alive. It's only a few bucks a year. So we can also backload all your existing Armour in if you provide us with the appropriate information. We can put in the serial number and officers' names and expiry date and everything, so that the database and the graph is useful for you as a snapshot today of all your Armour. You don't have to wait 3 or 5 years to make it worthwhile. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, backloading it and ongoing, please contact us and we can let you know regarding pricing and other arrangements. And if you have any questions or any features you'd like to see, please let us know those as well. And we can look at incorporating features into the database as it matures, as people use it more. So thank you very much for your time. I know this was probably about as exciting as watching paint dry. We hope that this is a tool that you would agree is worth the very small fee for it, because now you guys don't have to keep anything on your computers, and it provides a lot more functionality than an Excel sheet, and hopefully makes your job a lot easier, and makes the reports look better to people that need the reports and things. So hopefully it's a win-win situation for everybody involved. Again, thanks for your time, and if you have any questions, please feel more than free to contact us. We'd love to talk to you about this.